fort's probably built in just before the Second World War. There's also along at Cape Point. There's one. They're very simple cement structures with a lookout stretch like that. No glass windows. And there's one above Komachi as well. Because there were submarines, German and Japanese submarines cruising along the coast here and occasionally sinking a ship. It wasn't just fantasy, though we didn't know about it at the time.
Oh, so we took a few subs down here. Oh, did we? But we never shot one.
I don't think so. No, but my mother worked for part of the war. When my brother and I were getting a bit older, she worked in the signals department at Admiralty as a secretary, and she would bring home these posters saying, "Don't talk about ships or shipping."
Yeah, the Germans are watching. The Germans are watching.
Absolutely, and there was a lot of movement around the coast. In fact,
right, left, yeah, down. Doesn't this road lead you up to Red Hill?
Eventually, you get to, it takes you to kind of Dido Valley. You can come down this road, and then you can go past the beach. And
right.
John's got some whole story.
Okay, so what I should
beachfront.
Which way should I go now? Just come around. Yeah. And you're mentioning about the watchmen coming in. Look, was they worried about the German spy or something?
Yes. And when I was about 3 years old, my father was already up north in the war with the Cape Town Highlanders. She used to go down to the beach apparently with my brother, who was in about 5 or 6 and me aged 3. And on one occasion, apparently, I refused to go into the water because of the big ships.
Okay.
And apparently there was a whole semi-fleet of the huge ocean liners, the Normandy and others that had been commissioned for the war for troop transport, and they would come into False Bay and then quietly and then disappear. Yeah, there was never any mention of this. Well, I couldn't read this paper anyway, but nobody talked about them. That's quite right. So there was even a kind of blackout in Glencairn. In case, I don't know, in case there were submarines in False Bay scouting out who's who.
You have air raid sirens and all that?
Not sirens, no. We just had a blackout. Mr. van Bradar was the blackout person. And I don't know whether this is true or not, but kind of the family story is that he was walking past our house and he knocked on the door and said, "I can see light through your keyhole." But maybe that's apocryphal.
And I suppose being close to the naval base, you kind of in the back of your mind that you might be a target.
I don't think. Well, certainly as a kid.
I suppose as a kid, you're not thinking of that.
But yes, one never knows what kind of sabotage there might have been. And my father came home
Left here.
about 1943 or so, and he got very ill, and he was in the Glencairn hospital, and he was really very ill, and my mother got a phone call in the middle of the night saying, "Mrs. Cartwright, I've got bad news for you. Your husband has died." Somewhere with quite a strong Afrikaans accent. And my mother immediately got through to the matron, and she said, no, he seems to have turned the corner, he's doing fine. So when you talk about sabotage, there was like psychological sabotage as well going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, and that's why there were internment camps. People like John J.B. Forster, who later became Prime Minister, was in Koffiefontein.
And this, with all this, is that a dam? Is that a dam? Is that a reservoir?
The old, the little...
It's a reservoir, it's a water source.
The little Jeep track that I was talking of would have been further down there, just going through along the dip, close to the dip.
Was that reservoir there when you were around?
Yeah.
So that's all. I suppose with the extra building
There was a reservoir up the valley just past where Miss Tugwell's house was, and that's where we got our water. It was the colour of Cape Mountain water. It wasn't purified, simplified, fossil, chemicalized, anything. Just came straight to our house.
And was this military stuff here?
Not at all. This is all.
So it was all segregated
No, this
to Simon's Town.
Just bush. Yeah, all this was just bush.
So your jaw must have dropped when you saw it the first time, when you, as it is.
Yeah.
And this is also insane. This is an old kind of government this is the actual military. All these vehicles have just been written off. Some of them are perfect and they just sit here, just rusting away.
My goodness. Wow. Yeah, it's just kind of dumb.
And this is Black Hill now. Okay, coming from the top.
Red Hill. This is Red Hill.
No, isn't this Black Hill?
Dido Valley.
Black Hill is the actual kind of Glencairn expressway.
I thought this was Black Hill, so that's actually Black Hill is the expressway.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just called it the Kopi.
The Kopi.
Yeah. Oh, we thought it was Roykrantz, but Roykrantz is actually further. Roykrantz is a little bit further away from us, towards Kommetjie.
And Kommetjie must have been a little hole in the wall back in those days.
Small, yes. I remember walking with my mother and my brother when we were a bit older from Glencairn over the hills to Kommetjie.
Oh.
And Ocean View probably wouldn't have been a thing.
Exist. Ocean View is a product of the group areas.
All the people from the actual Red Hill informal settlement.
Quite a lot of them, yeah.
Have been moved here.
Yeah. My uncle, when he retired, he was a cartographer with the city council. When he retired, he actually went into the church, Anglican church, and he was given the job of looking after the people from Red Hill who were uprooted and moved to Ocean View. So he was back and forth there a lot in his combi.
It was ghastly how they also knocked the houses down on the top of Red Hill.
These are just appalling government houses. And there were gun emplacements.
Yeah, you can see the turrets up at the top.
Yeah. And there was also one of the very first radar installations on one of these hills along here. You looked up and you saw this kind of like a little tower in the middle with two kind of big rabbit ears, two big circular discs. And that apparently was our first radar. And Dido Valley had, I think it was probably built in the 50s or late 40s after the war, the marine oil refinery. They produced a cooking oil called Glen Oil after Glencairn. And they were the factory was knocked down not too long ago. And had to be cleaned up a bit.
So is this Dido? This must be Dido Valley.
Yeah.
You can see the old gun turrets up there.
Yeah. Yep. And the old fort down below there.
We saw some stone structures right at the top of that hill.
Yes.
You got to go up a gravel road. But that looks pre-World War II. I wonder, would there have been from like the Battle of Retreat in those days? Some lookouts?
Nothing like that down here. No. There's the Battle of Muizenberg, and they're up above where Bailey's cottage is. It's all grown over now, but they're little kind of stone walls there, like trenches. So this is obviously a dead end. Amazing. No wonder there's a traffic jam in the mornings.
Yeah. Just too many people.
Completely overpopulated.
group areas, what was the sort of interaction between the different races?
It was a place like Glencairn was almost, you could call it almost feudal, very friendly, but kind of a bit of a kind of respectful distance. In Simonstown itself, there was more of a kind of middle class of coloured people and educated people.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of interaction and intermarriage, and there were one or two coloured people on the town council. Simonstown municipality was an independent municipality.
Okay, so it was a whole different. It was almost like the way it should be, and then they went and destroyed
it. And it all got destroyed.
I mean, what kind of evil gets behind anyway?
we should actually. There's an interview with a guy your age, and there's a friend of mine who's actually kind of coloured. He's 85. He was evicted from Simonstown.
Ah,
it'd be very interesting to ask him because he's your age, but he's
that old building there is the Van Breda house, the original Van Breda homestead. It was there.
So there was a farmhouse. So they had all the land behind.
Probably they had quite a lot of
So we take a little spin down this way, but
I was wondering what that was. Okay, so that's
and there were some little wooden houses here. Coloured people lived. Nice places actually. And yeah, so this was the old homestead. They had fishing rights around here, you know, for the trek fishermen.
What a beautiful old house! It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And then the road went actually right down here. It was, yes, the road went through there, kind of curved around, and this is just kind of blasted through. But it came around past, and then out. There was a kind of it went in and then around and out again. And I remember on one occasion driving back here and meeting a flock of sheep halfway. Had to give way. Yeah, I can see that's the original road going in there.
You're young, John. The train, was it always running, or was there a problem with the sand where the service stopped? Or?
No, I never heard of problems with sand.
Gary was saying one of them got derailed the other day going into sand.
Really?
I mean, how? Stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
And there was a regular steam train as well. This is where I did my original driving test, right here. Well, not that building, of course, not the building. Municipal. And that slope up there was where the black location was. The name will come back to me. And just on that slope there, they've all been knocked down. And there were lots of them were Nissan huts, they called them, from the war, like tunnels. And there were labourers there who worked in the dockyard. Loyolo location it was called. There was actually a retired Minister Squayia. He was in the first Democratic cabinet. He grew up there. And the steam train. I lived in Kenilworth in the 1980s. There was still a daily steam train going through, and it came at the end there. There was a circle, like a turntable. So the steam engine would go onto the turntable and turn around and face back.
The turntable stopped working a while ago, probably.
Yeah, it's no longer existing. This may have been a shed, I think, I'm not sure, but certainly the old station is much the same.
So there was a turntable playing kind of actually in the station?
No, it was just right, there's the station, just before the wall of Admiralty House.
And it would just play all the time, and then it would turn over again.
would have been before this. It would be, yeah, just right here. It would have been right here.
And Long Beach, was it longer than it was currently?
Oh yeah, no, this.
Or it would have been shortened.
I didn't spend much time here, and never thought of it as much as a beach worth visiting. Oh yeah, there's access and everything. I don't know what it was like actually, but it certainly would have had been bush around here, and then a strip of beach, and then Admiralty House property begins there, and that's where under the Royal Navy, the Commander-in-Chief of the South Atlantic Fleet lived here.
Hey brother, go brother.
Yeah. And that's the old officers' mess. Fine building.
Oh, yeah.
Originally. Just trying to prop it up now. So. Yeah.
So, right through here, but anything else to see in Simonstown?
Yeah, I can tell you.
Yeah, there's
yeah, a little bit if you like. Yeah. Admiralty House. The St Francis Church used to have a church bazaar every year in the grounds of Admiralty House, which was a lot of fun. They opened it to the public. A lovely place, and the Admiral and his family lived there. So somebody, William Pollitt, was the Admiral, I remember. 1903. Lots of building straight after the Boer War. Force Bay Hospital used to be up here. I had my tonsils out in the Force Bay Hospital. It doesn't exist anymore. It's now in Fishhook. Of course, this road has been heavily widened. There would have been gardens or something in front there. I remember I'd been in Simonstown with my mother on one occasion, and we were hurrying back towards the station to catch a train to Glencairn, and somewhere just along here a sailor in a jeep came along, saw us, turned around, picked us up and dropped us off at the railway station. Very nice.
That's the good old
days. Lots of naval people, they used to come visiting also in our place, and yeah, this is quite a treasure trove of a main street.
Yeah.
Buildings.
How much bigger is it now than it used to be?
No, Simonstown, well, they've filled in a lot up top there. You see, there used to be lots of cottages up above St George's Street with a couple of families living in them. Then they all fell apart, and they've now got very expensive places with nice views up here. So it can't grow an awful lot. And that was Runciman's grocery store. And in about 1950, we had huge rains, rather like the recent rains, and there were plans to evacuate the whole of St George's Street because the slope behind was starting to slip, and they were afraid to just come back and destroy it. There was so much water. I think it's probably the kind of 100-year thing that people have talked about, the difference. And that's that was the Criterion Cinema. Yeah. That building you can see way ahead there, that so-called modern building, that's one of the monstrosities of the 1970s. Designed in Pretoria, dumped in Simonstown. There's several in the middle of town as well.
Yeah.
Lovely old town halls. Thank goodness it's not run by the Navy. It's
Navy looks like a real SWAT team.
And that's the Dutch Reformed Church. And the music to Distend was composed by the Dominee, who was in charge of this.
That's a
church.
bit of history, yeah.
Lovely places along here.
And English or Afrikaans predominantly in those years?
Oh, English. Yeah.
So the Navy was sort of English and the Army was Afrikaans.
Yeah, later, of course, with the South African Navy took over in 1957. In fact, I was present.
Oh, so it was a UK naval base.
Oh yes, the Royal Navy.
That was a long time. Weren't there 300 brothels in his heyday 300 years ago?
I think that's extremely unlikely. And the cemetery along here goes back a long way. Probably 18th century, I think, some of the graves.
And when was the area first settled?
Late 1600s. Simons van der Stel. I think your friend Gary had what's his name? Mark had it slightly wrong. What happened? The settlement was first in Table Bay, but in the winter the northwester blew just as strongly as it does now, and it would blow ships ashore onto Woodstock Beach and around there. So Simon van der Stel, probably in about 1670, came exploring to find an alternative. That's when they started bringing ships into Sandstone, because it's sheltered in the winter, and it's also somewhat sheltered from the southeast. So it was a good place. We've just passed the turn-off to something called the Martello Tower,
so we're going to have a little look.
Which was built, I think, in the around about 1810 or so.
Okay.
And there's several of them around, not necessarily in South Africa. You can just look it up, Martello Tower. And it was part of the fear for the French taking over.
The old Napoleon. Oh, did he have an eye on South Africa?
Oh, he had an eye on everywhere, because and this, of course, was a strategic place, because it was this place you could stop at, get fresh everything on your way to the east.
Yeah.
So the Dutch had gone east, the Danes had gone east, established colonies and trading posts. I think Napoleon clearly had. Martello Towers further on, I think.
That next one.
Enjoy, guys.
Nice. If Napoleon saw that, he'd be straight in.
This grim 1970s building, I think it was, ironically, for the submarines, which they should have built under the sea, as far as I'm concerned. It's, well, the trees are kind of masking it a little bit. And this is the police station, and still is the police station.
And the old waterfall from...
Oh yes, what's it called?
Waterfall Road.
Yeah, that's the name. That was certainly there, and houses up there as well, quite substantial houses, and a road going up that becomes, I think, Runciman Drive, which is the high road, and on the way up there was, for example, the rectory, for where the rector, the Anglican rector of St. Francis, lived up there, and some very nice old houses.
Yeah.
That's post office, I think. Not very old post office. Down there by. They used to bring fish in there, sell them. The British Hotel used to be a real hotel.
Yeah.
It's very good to see these places that have been maintained.
I mean, if the naval base wasn't here, this would be sort of like Camps Bay now. terms of prices.
Possibly. I think Camps Bay and the Atlantic coast have the advantage that the sun goes down on that side.
Yeah.
And they don't have such a blasting southeast all the time. When it blows like mad there, but not as often as here. And it's also close to the middle of town, Camps Bay. That's one of the advantages. So that's where you go up to Glencairn Drive.
So you can get up there, right?
Yeah, go up around the corner as well, yeah.
Is it worth going up there?
If you like, but
Can we go left?
That whole crane there, that whole kind of pulley system, was that actually putting down rock?
Is it possible to get up to there from here? I wonder. This is Waterfall Road.
Move it up, yeah, in terms of it.
In terms of the
There
left.
used to be the Naval Hospital is up above.
Sorry, this is
Red
just
Hill
Happy
there.
Valley.
And there used to be.
I don't think
this
we-
is
yeah.
Happy Valley up here.
Yeah, so you're going to have to turn around, yeah.
You can see up on the hill there. You can see remnants of metal standards there.
Yeah.
There used to be a cableway going.
Was it a cable for moving people or?
I'm not sure.
What's
whether it
so mining or
no, it went up to the Naval Hospital.
to the hospital?
Yeah.
No, so maybe goods, it could have been goods.
I think that may well be the old False Bay Hospital, that big building.
Go and have a look.
Certainly around about the place it used to be.
Oh yeah, okay, because I'm wondering, because there's, I walked just past Just Nuisance's grave at the top, there's definitely a big building there, so that was the old Naval Hospital.
I presume so, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's also just derelict.
Yeah.
Parking shed, we have a pier in the bush there.
Yeah, I can park up by this.
No, I'm pretty sure this was the False Bay Hospital.
Yeah. Stay there.
That's a sewer pipe, isn't it?
Pardon? Yeah, that's very handsome. But I don't think that's the hospital, but it's obviously a period piece.
This almost looks like the old road to the quarry would have gone up here and then joined
Could have. This was-
old Red Hill Road. There you go.
Oh, that's right. And then
Let's
it just
get over-
goes straight along up there.
I wonder if it's possible to go there and then go through the back of the houses.
The old Red Hill Road was just goes at an angle, a steady angle like that up, and parts of it is now. You can see parts of it is a footpath when you come down the pass.
So that it's not tarred anywhere beyond what we can see there. Okay.
No, not at all. And it's probably you'd probably have to fight through bush at this part.
I got the wrong car for that.
Yes. Yes, I hadn't realised this is where it came out. Yeah.
This is Waterfall Road. This must have been an example of the old coloured houses.
I think these are new.
Oh,
they're,
these new.
they're new, but in the style. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paying homage.
Palace. Yeah, the Palace Barracks, as the name rings a bell.
Would this be sheltered a bit more from the wind?
Yeah.
There's some remnants of sand dunes, so that would have been, you'd have a lot more of that sand dune action in Glencairn.
Yeah, Glencairn, because it's a valley, I think the wind channeled very strongly up it. It's like the sand dunes that used to be at Hart Bay, that used to go from the beach right through and then drop the sand in Sandy Bay. That's why it was sandy. It was all it probably get less less and less sandy over the years because it's been cut off completely. The sand supply is no longer it. People are built on the sand dunes.
Sure.
Oh, right.
It's all happening.
So these must have also been a lot of these old little kind of cottages must have been coloured people living up here.
That was Mariner's Cove way. It seems to go up there into the old bushes.
There's good scrape on the way back.
There must be another road to that. Do you think is that old?
That's Radial Road.
Is that old Radial? Oh, that's new Radial Road.
And so the old Radial Road would have been going up above it just at a steady angle. Okay. And you see it, the new new Radial Road cuts across it at several points. It was still being used as a footpath by people from Radial Settlement. These houses, no, these are not old houses down here. This was just bush up. I think the coloured people lived inside this town.
We'll probably go here and then go along the main road and then up Ruchwan.
We'll just go left check onto then down to the...
Yeah, exactly.
Watch the road there.
See what the ground is like. Yeah. This is the right sort of car to be doing a historic tour in.
Splendid car. Yeah. Did you do a lot of rebuild and maintenance on this?
No, I bought it from a deceased estate, a friend of the wife. Had my eye on it for a long time, but the old boy only let it go once he moved on.
Okay, right.
Yeah, 1990, Cressida. I'm the second owner. And what made you move out to Greyton? Am I right that you live in Greyton?
Yeah, it was. I've been talking with my son and family for a long time about sharing a place. You know, with me being independent, but to share a place. And I think we all felt okay. I think to move on. And I've been 25 years in Muizenberg, and Thomas and family, about 19 years, I think. And yeah, things are feeling a bit more rushed and crowded. So they looked all over the place for a larger place, including the Cape Peninsula, where I could be accommodated also, and then started looking further in the countryside and just kind of fell in love with Greyton. So they looked at about 13 properties in Greyton,
sure.
And I looked at about 5. And we made an offer on one, which we fortunately didn't get. We would have had to spend too much money on it, but one of the big, long plots. And we finally bought one on one of the few, somewhat smaller plots on a corner, which is very nice. And there was already a cottage consisting of a bedroom and bathroom, and so we redesigned things and turned it into a cottage with a proper sitting room and a kitchen. That's where I live. That's fine. I still need to get a sniff of the sea air and the people every now and then.
Exactly. But probably, does Greyton almost remind you of what Glencairn was like when you were growing up? Or more busy?
Not really, because it's so different. It's so wooded and green and calm. Glencairn was always a fairly fierce kind of place with the wind
this Rachman or is this? We go a little further to get up to.
Where are we going?
Straight. You got to go past
Straight.
that.
Oh yeah.
You want to go up Runciman Drive?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just up
Just got to keep going past that, and then try to go up on that intersection to the right.
And then follow the white
on
car.
The fork, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotta go up and just slip to the
Do a
right.
little left and a right.
And you go up to the right there.
And this must have been one of the premier sort of roads back in the day for this would have been one of the more affluent roads at the top.
Yeah, relatively. There wasn't. Yeah, not posh.
Because now it's quite posh, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well,
Just follow this
anyway,
road.
with the sea view. It's become very
And then straight, yeah, all right.
straight on.
And then the Germans probably have taken a shine to this place as well.
Yeah, it's very picturesque. This one's been fancied up considerably.
Yeah.
And the rectory was probably that place, that stone place. Of course, the Navy owns lots and lots of land around here.
Yeah.
And there was some years ago. It was an anniversary of the Group Areas Act. The Group Areas Act was 1969, and there was a kind of commemoration. It must have been in 1999, I think, which I came for. And there was a walk through Sandstone and speeches at Jubilee Square. And there were a couple of people who said, why doesn't the Navy, the government, make available some of the land that they have for people who could come back to Simestone if they want to?
What happened with the reconciliation of land commission with land? Wasn't there a whole thing in the late 90s where people could apply to get?
Well, yeah, and it's been very, very spotty. I think people may have got some compensation. People who moved from Simestone, I don't know, which is really not enough to make up for what they went through.
Yeah.
There's around Constantia, there's a new place called the Constantia Emporium.
Yeah, that was a big talking point.
That was from a family who had farmed in the area.
Yeah.
Of which there were quite a number. They're growing flowers and vegetables mostly, and they were kicked off, and they got that, and they're making good use of it, obviously, for themselves and for the public in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, but they were all they were Muslim. They were highly educated. They became educated people.
Yes.
What's sad about that is that there was a law case and they had money and they took on the government and they won the case. But the poor, salt of the earth, working class people aren't getting their homes.
That's right. Absolutely.
So that's like a one-off case.
Yeah. No, it is.
This would have been empty back then.
Yeah.
There's quite a good school in Greyton, that village school, isn't it?
This is the old naval barracks. Much better built than the ones up the road.
Yeah.
They've obviously been privatised now. And you can see that these long cement layers of sticking shelves were sticking out from the building. Baboons used to use those to get into some of the houses, some of the flats there. And this is the old graveyard here with the very old walls, you see. So those were probably wartime built.
Much nicer architecture than
yeah,
some
not
of
bad
those
at all. we had friends, English friends who lived there. They were out with the Navy.
What did you lecture at UCT when you lectured?
I was in the English department.
At UCT or
UCT,
okay.
from 1980 to beginning of 98.
Just before Dale and I got there.
Yeah.
Vivian Bigfoot Smith, wasn't he a
yes.
guy? Yeah.
No, he was in history. Yeah, he was a young man.
The American guys, Chuck Wanamaker.
Oh yeah, Chuck. I knew.
Chucky.
Got to know Chuck very well.
David Chittister.
Oh yes, Chittister. Yeah.
Yeah. A few characters.
Yes. 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 Yeah. Chuck was quite an academic activist.
Yeah.
And we spent quite a lot of time together on committees.
He said the problem with young people these days is that they don't want to change the world. Well, that's what he said to us when we were young.
Every generation, there are always some people who would like to do that.
Yeah.
Which is keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
Another Muslim family who come back and have bought back, I think, their house, which is somewhere along there, up on the side streets.